again for your time, showing up, always being part of everything, and changing the podcast over to Not Dead Yet. Part of that is I want to share these inspiring stories that people have lived, that they made it through their darkness, these hard times, when they actually realized that, man, we may not have another day, we may not have any more time. And so once you're on the other side of that, there seems to be this just difference, fire in people.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's not like you choose to go through some of that. A lot of the times it happens to you. So you definitely come out different. It's, training, non-negotiables you set in your life. Those are things you enact. When something is enacted upon you, there's going to be a change, and for good or bad. And so I come out, meaning I survived. So that's the good. And so of course, then there's going to be some change.
Let's catch people up on your story. I know a little bit about it, but I would love to actually hear all of it and hear what all it was you went through. So without further ado, I would love to get to know as much as I can.
Awesome. So I'd been a full-time strength coach at Auburn at this point 5 years. And during this time I was working women's basketball and women's soccer together. Going into 2015, we then split and said, okay, basketball is evolving and they need their own person to be with them full time. Like, you can't appropriately serve those two teams with two levels of expectation. Fabulous. So I get pulled to just women's soccer, and what a blessing, because then 7 months later, I'm not working at all. And so we'll recap back to that. The summer of 2015, I would train the women's soccer team at like 6 a.m. because it's Alabama in the summer. So by 7:06, you're melting. And I understand that's not the ideal sleep, whatever, but like that also means you're not dying in 100-degree heat. And then by the end of June, I would train them in the morning. I'd go back home and go to sleep till the next day. And I was like, oh, this is normal. And it's kind of like if you're drunk, you don't know you're drunk. When you're sick, you don't necessarily know how sick you are because you're in the middle of being that sick, and that's the new normal. So fast forward to August, I'm like, something's wrong. I probably shouldn't be sleeping, most of the day. So I hire a concierge medical doctor to do a deep dive into my health. And also, for context, this was the healthiest fitness-wise I had ever been.
Gotcha.
This was like the leanest, the strongest version of Megan up until this point. So it didn't make sense to me. It's like, we're doing the work.
Sure.
And so I meet with Dr. Charles Veal, was the doctor, and he's like, yeah, you have adrenal fatigue. You're producing very little to no hormones. I'm 30.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, that sounds normal. Great. So I started a hormone regimen of progesterone, testosterone, like a whole list of things. And that helps for about 6 weeks. And I think one of the main reasons it's helped is because you want it to work.
Sure.
Whatever people attach is like, this is going to be the solution. You're like, I'm in. What do we got to do?
There's no doubt the placebo effect works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's proven time again that it's almost 50% as effective as actual anything that works. And so there is a ton of truth to, if you believe it works, it works. Yeah. I also believe there's a ton of truth that if you don't believe it works, it won't work. And I mean,
exactly.
I think especially those things fall into those categories of things that become a little bit more mystical, things that are a little bit more ethereal or philosophy or mindset, or, those type of things.
Yeah. Dark matter shit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
We could talk about that as well.
For sure.
And then, so fast forward, now we're middle of September and we're traveling on the road with women's soccer. And before a flight to Missouri, I meet with our team doc and I'm like, Doc, if I walk from here to the other side of the room 10 feet, I feel like I've worked out for 20 hours straight. Like, my legs are cramping. I feel like my chest and my heart rate are super high. My resting heart rate was like 95.
Not ideal, especially Look, and especially because you've checked all those other boxes, right? Like, you know that you're in shape.
Yeah. So, and he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you magnesium to help with the cramping. And he approached it in a medical mindset and was fine. And then he said, I want you to get hard candy because mastication will actually distract your brain from your heart rate. So you won't feel that chest. And I was like, okay, maybe that'll work. Fly to Missouri, land. By the time the bus pulls up to the hotel, I'm like, I text our athletic trainer. I'm like, I can't carry my bag. Like, I don't feel I can carry my bag to my hotel room. Okay, no problem. They cover for me, like help me out. The trip I don't remember much of. We come back in and have a home game on the Sunday. I'm sitting out at practice, and I would say it was like being high, but I was not high because I'm leaning against a bag of balls on the field. First of all, like practice is happening and I'm just sitting on the ground.
Sure.
And I'm like, and all I remember noticing was like the breeze. I'm like, man, it feels so nice out. What the fuck? So, anyways, the next week I am going to pick up a new prescription. And what saves my life is my doctor's nurse practitioner happened to walk in and see me. So when she sees me, I'm like a version of a green, yellow, gray is the color of my skin, and my lips are gray. And she's like, I need you to come do blood work with me right now. And a typical strength coach, I was like, we have a lift tomorrow morning. I'll come after that.
You're gonna get in the way.
So
the number of times I've gone into a thing and been like, so how long before till I could train again? As if that one training session, God damn it.
Yeah. So all right. The next morning I'm driving to work and I lose peripheral vision. And I'm like, again, at no point are you like, this is really messed up and I shouldn't be like this, because you're just like dealing with whatever comes.
Right.
So I get dropped off at the doctor's office by a friend, and I'm like, I think you can just leave me. I'm going to be here a while.
I'm going to be here a minute.
Yeah. Jesus. And then my doctor sees me and they try and get blood. It takes them like 6 times to even draw blood.
Oh, your blood pressure is all the way down.
So I'm melting into the floor, you know. He drives my blood to a lab to centrifuge to get results, drives back, and they drive me to the hospital. They drive me straight to the oncologist. They take more blood. Dr. Johnson walks in and he goes, hi, my name's Dr. Johnson. You're in a blood emergency. You have leukemia. I'm not sure what type. And I said, okay, great. And he's like, why aren't you more upset? And I said, well, you just told me what's wrong. I knew something was fucked up. So what do we have to do? And then they started giving me red blood cells. And do you remember the first time you had pre-workout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's like Jack 3D for me. So like I'm in the right group that when we're talking about pre-workout, like, yo, they were just fucking sending cocaine out to people.
Exactly. Fucking, you open it and it explodes. So I got red blood cells and I was like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm good now. Like, this is what I needed. I didn't know this is what I needed. So the day I got diagnosed, basically the volume of blood content and red blood content in my body was a 3. It should be about 15.
Ooh.
And so I asked him, I was like, so what would have happened had I not come later down the road? I asked him, you know, hey, what would have happened had I not come in? They said, well, you would have either had like a major cardiac event or you would have just like died in your sleep. And just because what happens with leukemia and my type of leukemia and the same type of leukemia Jude Logan had is your bone marrow produce blast cells, and they're supposed to differentiate into red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Well, with leukemia, they just stay those immature cells. So you're not transporting oxygen. You don't have a way to heal a cut. You don't have typically an immune system response. So from there, a couple hours later,
your blood's just filling up with essentially useless red blood cells.
Right.
That don't transport.
Well, useless cells that don't do anything for you.
Oh, okay.
So that's why your blood content drops. Now there is like in one type of leukemia, and you might have heard of this, like when people get diagnosed, they have like 10,000 white blood cells. It's like that just goes off the chart.
Is that just in a reaction to the...
It's actually it's called a FLT3 mutation. So it's a genetic mutation that happens in response to leukemia with some people. I did not have that one. I had another type of genetic mutation. It's called a nucleophosphine gene mutation. So basically, the stuff that's in the nucleus of the cell moves to the cytoplasm.
Okay.
But I have no idea how that
It's a bit
happens.
past my depth of biology, but
But I mean, we're taking it back to like mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell, nucleus, where the good stuff is.
yeah, right. Okay.
No problem. So they
I'm
did
sure I
genetic
made one out of Play-Doh. That's about as fucking good as it's gonna get for me, dude.
or Jello. Here you go.
If anyone's asking me to fix stuff at the cellular level, we've gotten to a point that can't be saved.
So I'm taking my ambulance up to UAB, and that's where I stay inpatient from the day I was diagnosed till basically I did all my consolidation chemo. So I think it was like 45 days. And what happened there was they did that genetic testing at UAB and to see if I was a good candidate because I love science and I love that we have so many different ways, whether it's old ways like psilocybin or new ways like specific targeting gene therapy to help people survive. So I did a clinical trial drug called SGN33A in addition to standard chemo. Now, that drug did not make it to market because it basically killed too many people, but it worked great for me.
Fucking right. All right.
All
I
right.
mean, this is part of how experimental science works.
Exactly. And, you know, you got to also understand when leukemics are typically younger children, like we have a strength coach out here, Zach, right now, Zach Nielsen, whose daughter is going through bone marrow transplant for the same type of leukemia that I have. And she's doing great. So shout out to her, little rock star.
Right.
We can interview her in 20
Shout out to
years.
Zach, dude.
Yeah. And then you also have 70, 80, 90-year-olds that get leukemia as a second form of cancer typically. So ailing immune systems and developing ones, it's really hard and complicated already to find good drugs for that.
So okay. So way off base here, but let me make sure I'm catching things up. So with your red blood cell count falling the way it did, and just feeling like shit, it's not like your body isn't producing blood. You're still full of blood. There's just not
no content.
Right. It's essentially white blood cells, red blood cells, and whatever the fuck this stuff is.
Yeah.
Okay. So as that's going on, you get your red blood cells fixed, or not fixed, but topped off.
Yep.
Right. I was wondering, so over time, do we start producing less useful red blood cells as part of the aging process?
That's a great question in terms of longevity. I don't think so. I think your normal standard rate of whatever your makeup is stays within a typical range. Now, what you might see is older people struggle with bruising typically more, or it takes longer cuts to heal. So there might be something to maybe platelet struggle. I'm not sure. Like I would have to dive more into that.
What we're talking about, really the reason why we should get a blood boy.
Yeah, exactly.
We can just harvest the blood of the young.
Yeah, exactly. No problem. Then we're good to go. Just top me off.
Takes care of a lot of the immune problems we have. We now can take care of some, I don't know what the charging rate is.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's fair.
Yeah,
young blood for
fair
everyone.
Concept. No problem.
Fair concept. Young blood. Look into it, everyone.
So what happens is I did the standard regimen. I did a couple bone marrow biopsies, which are gnarly, and you'll love this from a thrower's perspective. So they set me up the second day I'm in the hospital. They're like, okay, we're going to do, basically flip you over, drill into the back of your hip to pull out bone marrow and an aspirate so we can do this genetic testing. This was the first time I'd ever had Ativan or like a very strong narcotic.
Nice.
And
yeah, right on.
Apparently I was coaching them through it.
Oh, good.
And I'm like,
I'm sure that was very helpful.
And I bent the boring needles that they were using. I was like, they're like, typically we only have to bring out the huge boring needles for very large black men that are very strong. And I'm like,
sick.
I was a thrower.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Our bones are different. They're made of concrete.
Exactly.
Just the amount of just pounding and smashing into the ground, trying to oppose force. Yeah. I would imagine my bone density wasn't ever any of the issues I had with my knee.
Exactly. It's like ligaments and muscles. Yeah, we fuck those, but our bones are great.
Yeah, we're the
Uh,
opposite of cyclists,
yeah, exactly.
swimmers.
Exactly. They'll have osteoporosis.
That's
We
right.
never will.
Michael Phelps and
Anyways.
his bird bones. I'm not impressed. Hit the bricks.
Exactly. So I do that, and then that's when they found out about that gene mutation. But those things said, okay, you're an ideal candidate to reach remission within your first consolidation. So basically, you do a dose of chemo over 7 to 10 days. And so they do this drug, they literally call it the red dragon. They walk in to give me this drug,
Fuck.
and they are in full surgical gear. And I'm like, you're injecting this straight into my PICC line that goes directly to
Yeah.
my heart, but you can't touch it without having 7 gloves on.
Oh
Like,
man.
fair, cool.
How is that the only way to solve this problem? It can't be the only way to solve this problem. Fuck.
So
Fuck, man. That's crazy as fuck.
yeah, so I do standard chemo plus clinical trial. I reach remission, technical remission. And for me, the hard part wasn't going to be getting in remission due to my genetic profile, it was going to be staying in remission. So after that initial induction phase, I go home. I think it's October now, and then I went back every month and did stronger chemo to stay in remission. Because
Sure.
if you don't, it's going to come back. So I would go stay in the hospital for an additional week, November, December, January, February, and did different doses of that. And each time it takes longer and longer to recover. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a stronger dose.
Yeah, exactly. And so then come March, I did my last bone marrow biopsy, still in remission. So at that point, my doctor, who's actually like a world leading expert in my type of leukemia, he's now the head of oncology at Duke. Shout out Dr. Harry Erba. He said, I feel really good about what we've done. I think we're okay. And I was like, sweet. And so it's that day that I said to him, I said, what's your death rate? And he was like, no one has ever asked me that. And I'm like, really? Like people don't, and he's like, people don't want to know. So I have a tattoo on my forearm. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
It's a little sideways, but it's supposed to be orange. And then this is like burnt off at the end. And the reason it's burnt off is because the death rate is over 85%. And it's a reminder to me, very much how you have your own reminders
85%.
of, well, we're here. So, and one of the things that we can talk about mindset, you can talk about all those things that help you get through it, and we could dive into those. But my best friend, who had just started a new job, showed up for me in Birmingham less than 5 days after I was diagnosed. And she was like, training for a marathon at the time, I think. And she was like, I just kept thinking about you every time I go out for a run. And she was like, we do this for those who can't. And so that has been something I've carried with me ever since, is like, you go to hit, whether it's in training, whether it's just being consistent in your life, whether it's trying to strive for more, I literally will think about those people that are no longer with us, or those people struggling, going through the same thing right now. And it doesn't have to be leukemia. I can't tell you the number of former military guys I've connected with PTSDs, and just people going through struggle through life. And you think about those people, you have no problem showing up. So it's not a question of like, do I show up? It's just how long?
Yeah, how long do we get to?
Exactly.
And there's that side of it too, where it's there's both sides of that motivation, right? Of whether or not you're going to show up for in honor of someone who can't,
No.
or if you're showing up in honor of you because you can.
Fair. Yep. And
I don't, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Fair. I think that's a good point. And there's definitely this thing too of, after you've gone through something like this, and it's what's the new normal. I was someone that strength trained, and now you're saying I basically didn't do anything for a year. I'm like, I wonder what that's going to look like. So now I have a different like identity, right? It's like, I'm not Megan Young the thrower. You're not Matt Vincent the Highland Games guy anymore. Right. But what a blessing. Like, I'm stubborn enough that it would have taken something like this
Dude.
for me to
Oh
really
man.
shape and change. And so, like, I am so blessed, and I will say this, and I'm for those out there like that are listening that may have lost someone to cancer or know someone going through it. Cancer to me was one of the best things that ever happened because one, I got to see how many people showed up and rallied for me. I got to see how many people loved me. And that allowed me to say, you know what? It's okay now to be authentically myself all the time. And that's who I get to be.
Dude, I love that so much, and I want to touch on a few things that you went on. Um, yeah, fucking, I can't imagine as an athlete being diagnosed with something like that. I know that you said, great, we now have a thing, we have a boogeyman, we've got someone to fight. Like, you've given me a fucking target now,
Yeah.
because the mystery
Yeah.
is so rough for driven people.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a wait till win, motherfucker. Like, if you're telling me that, like, I have to do this and tell me it takes 300 days, I can survive that as long as I know that we got light at the end of the tunnel.
Exactly.
But if you're telling me all of it's for naught anyway, then
really hard.
Fuck it, man, I'm out. So, like, getting that news, and like, when did it actually take hold that, like, everything I've been focused on now has to go away because this is the only thing that matters?
I'll tell two sides to that story. So when you have like cancer and when you're going through treatment, chemo is like this big scary thing to people that have never done it. Chemo is like all the little things. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. You know, it's like, so every day there's something different. You're like, today I see fucking prisms in my eyes. Oh, I have a rash today. Oh, I lost my hair. Like,
Yeah.
it's all these little things. So one, I had an amazing support team. And by support team, I mean every strength coach out there. I mean every soccer player and soccer staff out there. But my deep circle of people that were with me in that hospital room day in and day out and that continue to show up know this story. I'm laying there and I get a consult because I have like something on my leg and everything's a consult. And the people who run the show are your nurse practitioners. So for whatever reason, there was a communication trap. This derm consult comes, and have you ever had a skin puncture test done?
Yeah, not great.
Okay. Yeah, but they forgot to give me drugs. So, so I'm laying there. I've been in the hospital. Been in the hospital 2 weeks, and I have these two things on my thigh. Now, granted, too, like just because they're giving me red blood cells and platelets doesn't mean I'm keeping them. So,
Oh, sure, right.
they have to be very careful. That's why, like, you're allowed to shave your head, but you can't do no guard. You're not allowed to shave your
'Cause if
legs.
you cut yourself at all,
Yeah, you're gonna bleed a lot. So
yeah, because nothing's ever gonna fucking. You're
it's not gonna
essentially
heal.
hemophiliac, right? Like you're
Very similar to that. Absolutely. So they do this puncture. This lady does this puncture on me on 2 different spots, and I just start bawling. And my best friend walks in with Starbucks and didn't know this procedure was happening, sees me, almost instantly throws up because
Oh
all
my
this
God.
blood. So she goes and sits down and puts her head between her legs. And then I'm bawling, and the lady is just like apologizing profusely. And my best friend's like, Melissa says to the lady, "It's okay. It's not you. It's her." And she's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "It's the first time she's cried." She's like, "Today?" She was like, "No, since she got diagnosed, this is the first time I've seen her upset."
Oh man.
And it was like that was the thing. Like there was no meds, there was no nothing. I needed that pain trigger, and it just came out. And so, yeah, here you go. And it wasn't like I feel better after crying. It was like I just feel more tired.
Oh God, dude, you didn't even get any relief from it.
No. And then but that was the only time. Like Rudy Reyes, a guy I met at Summer Strong, asked me a question. The only question he had was, when you were in your thing, were you ever scared? Did you ever think you were going to die? And I thought about it because, it takes someone like that to ask that type of question. And I said, no, I never once was like, oh my gosh, am I going to die? This is going to kill me. And so to speak to the mindset of that and like what helps you and what are those things, again, I don't think I can look back retrospectively and be like, well, I knew what I was doing in the moment. It was no, there was a different switch. This was a different version of me. And that version has a name, and that's my nickname, which is Mega. Because that's what all they started this hashtag at Auburn, like Mega Strong, and that has stuck with me. So that's why that's my nickname. And that person in that moment was the calmest, most joyful version of myself I've ever been. And so there was just gratitude for everything. Meaning, nurses walk in, they came to my room all the time because I kept a candy drawer stocked. Bribes for nurses. Let's go.
Nurses.
And then the
secret
other side
to our
that,
medical system.
Exactly. You don't know about it. There's a chocolate drawer and a hard candy drawer.
Just bring a stack of ones and start handing them out to everyone you can.
And then the only rule I had that I expressed to my best friend and like my care team was, I don't want anyone to come in here if they're sad or emotionally dealing with things like about this, because I'm an empath. I will feel what you're feeling and I'll take that on and try and help you.
Yep. I don't have time right now.
I don't have time. I don't have time to be that person for you.
No, what a big awareness to have of your like of yourself and your own energy though, that like, listen, the best thing you can do for me is if you show up, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be down and you need to vent something about this, like I ain't got time for it. Right now I'm in the fight.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other side, there was two things, and I thought about it because I listened to a couple of these podcasts since you've rebranded to Not Dead Yet, specifically to kind of see what takeaways I could give. And it's just part of the story. One, anytime I had like a major procedure, I had a playlist I went to. I think music is such a strong thing. I have no idea why it was Ed Sheeran's album, but that's what it was. And so it was like, it was a switch for me. And as being a thrower, you probably had a go-to playlist that evolved over time. Of course. And it makes you go to that place.
It's essentially like I'm so weirdly movie obsessed that constantly kind of the thing I like the idea of is what would be the soundtrack playing.
Exactly. And so for me, it was like that Pain Cave soundtrack. So I knew I was going into this thing. I needed something that was going to take me to a different place, and it was music. The other side of that is I had an experience of just like dealing with some pain, and I wasn't sure if it was like from the chemo, from the leukemia, from the side effects of all the different things in between. But I had a friend, Sarah Cahill, who's an amazing coach, and it wasn't her. She connected to her cousin. She didn't know why. She's just like, he's amazing with music, and I know that's helpful for you.
All right.
And so he helped me set up. There was this one chair. So you have like our hospital bed, you have your chair, there's a couch that all the people sleep on that's not really a couch, and there's a bathroom. So that's kind of the setup of the room. The chair next to my bed became like this place that anytime I was dealing with pain, I could go to that chair. So it's kind of like a dope. You probably have a spot you go to that you're hanging.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got the beanbag.
Exactly. You have a huge beanbag. So that corner then became this place that I'll talk about a specific experience. I was having pain, like I think from a bone marrow biopsy at the time. And I sat there, and before cancer, I'd never meditated. That's not who I was.
Sure.
And that was not a tool I knew. But I think I had the deepest meditation of my life, and that I was sitting in that chair. I closed my eyes, and you have to know a little biology and anatomy, but I literally remember closing my eyes and tracing the pain down to like the neural synapses so I could see it. And a lot of times pain is so powerful because we can't see it. So in my mind's eye, I was able to literally follow it down so I could see it. And when I recognized it, I didn't feel the pain anymore.
What an interesting meditation.
Right?
Yeah.
And ever since then, anywhere I live, I build a corner. And I didn't realize until I was prepping for this podcast, I was like, oh shit, that was just me carrying that hospital chair with me wherever I went. So that corner became the thing that I go to, not when things are bad or good or indifferent, but I just seek it out. And then I started meditating. And then I started adding more things to it. And now it's like, oh, you're laying on your grounding mat on a bed of nails,
Yeah,
listening to
dude.
this. So you having that space, just like people prioritize having a training space, all these different things. I wish more people prioritize having that space that they could just go to.
That's what my whole gym. It's the whole thing here. It's grown.
Exactly.
It's gotten
Exactly.
out of hand. I'm not sure if people are aware.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
That's why you sauna, that's why you cold tub. It's
yep.
like there can be different avenues to what those things are. And I think temperature exposures are amazing because if you jump in a cold tub, in 2 seconds, you're going to know the bullshit you're not dealing with because it's going to come right up to the top.
Yep.
So
Especially
don't,
once you get better at listening to it. And I think
yeah,
it only, it just takes some time to get through the first couple rounds, but at least it's giving you a benefit of something, even though if it's not bringing up some
yeah,
emotional thing to deal with, it's still bringing up a panic. It's still bringing up this
yeah,
fear response. It's still bringing up this piece that you have the control to manage.
yeah.
It's in the
And you,
safest way possible, right? Like you're not in any fucking danger.
yeah. And you have people around you that are there saying, like, stay in the shit.
Yep. You're fine.
And yeah, exactly. And obviously the nervous system response for people that never get to chill out, they probably feel like they had the best cup of espresso or can take the best nap of their life after that.
Right, right. It definitely, yeah, it depends on how you manage the breathing too, which one you want it to be. And that's
Exactly.
another one of those skills that you can kind of sharpen with it over time. Like for me, I know I can do it very differently when I leave in the evening
Yep.
from the gym and when I do it in the morning as part of like my fire myself up, get my shit together routine.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing.
So yeah, I typically, especially morning podcasts like this, it's my favorite to be able to kind of get my full bore morning routine
Yeah,
in the books.
I love
Um,
that.
you talked about identity and you talked
Hmm.
about, that was a big one. Yeah, I went through with being injured and losing my sport, and man, it's a tricky thing. Identity is a really tricky thing that's got a lot of depth to it, and because I had fully prepared myself to not do the Highland Games, like I knew that I wouldn't be that the same way that I never identified as a high school football player or a track and field athlete, or a thrower. I mean, maybe identify as thrower overall, but strongman or any of those things, like I wasn't into the lifestyle, if that makes any sense. Like I wasn't hanging trophies on the wall, like it was a thing I did, not who I was.
Yep.
But when I wasn't going to be an athlete anymore,
Yep.
like, and what I mean is like all of a sudden the machine doesn't operate.
Hmm.
I wasn't ever prepared for that to be taken. I didn't realize how much I lean on it and how much it's shaped everything. Um, and that identity shift for you that came from being the coach and doing these other things to now, I mean, cancer being a big identifier in your life.
For sure. Yeah.
How is that? And is it, while it being as strong as impactful as it is, right? Like, is there at some point, it's like, I imagine people will stop talking to me about this at some point.
I want to dive into two sides of this with you. One, have you ever seen a giant sequoia tree?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How impressive is that thing?
I love NorCal. NorCal's good.
Okay. Have you ever seen the seed of one of those?
Can't say that I have.
It's tiny.
Okay.
How does this big tree start from such a small seed? Like you see a pine cone, that thing can fucking take out a car. Like it's just very different. And so I remember the first time I saw went to see the Sherman Oaks or whatever the huge ones in NorCal, and at the bottom is all black. And I was like, why is it all black? And the park ranger came over to me and said, well, the only way we actually get them to continue to grow is burning them at the bottom. And it splinters them and scars them, but they'll continue to grow at the top. And I was like, oh, isn't that an analogy for a strength coach or someone that's stubborn as shit? And so that's how I view cancer. That's how I view like these identity shifts. That's how I view you when you had to shave your beard because you were attaching an identity to
Yeah,
it,
man, fuck that thing.
So
Go.
I just try to remember we all start out these like small little seeds, but some of us are willing to continually be burned at the bottom.
I
And
fucking love that. I fucking love every bit of that metaphor. One of my favorites, and you reminded me of it, was something I got from Kelly, and I don't know Kelly Starrett. I don't know when he said it, but it had to do with my knee, and it had to do with like just different chapters of life.
yeah.
He's like, look, at the end of my time, when they cut me in half and they examine the rings on this tree, there's going to be a few decades of fire damage.
Mm.
And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, there's a couple of fucking years that's like, oh man, we had a fucking drought. Like,
Yeah.
we. And then there's going to be some years of big growth, and there's going to be some that got fucking torched.
Yeah.
And I don't know that if I was ever to look back at it, that I would want the challenging years to stop at some point. Like, I think those chapters are the ones that strengthen our resolve and give us more appreciation for the hard, for the great too.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean you in that moment that it's easy or that you want it to stop. Like in the middle of that shit, in the middle of the drought, you probably want the drought to stop. Today's the day it'll rain.
Of course.
But it's only when we can look back and say, I went through it. And I think about this a lot too with like younger coaches, younger people in business. It's like, I can't teach you that experience. I can give you so many tools. I can't go through the drought for you. Like, you got to do that on your own.
And I think it would be better if people could see in a way that all the trees around them also went through this drought.
1000%. It's like that book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Right.
I listened to that immediately after cancer, and it's like, you are not unique. You're not the only person to ever go through this. So therefore, you also are not alone.
Right.
I'm like, fair. Like, there's been plenty of people that have done all these things. And so I think that that was like a interesting time to listen to that, because that identifier of, okay, I've been a thrower. I identified as that for a long time. I didn't identify it as an athlete. Like, even as a coach, and I was never a coach that was like, oh, my training's more important than my players. But I literally changed my body working in basketball and soccer, because throwers don't look like basketball and soccer players.
No, they're very different.
And
we're very different shape.
We are
More
very
square.
different shape. Exactly. We are the blocks.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to be able to move, understand, and really dive into the environments I was living in. And I was over here, and here's the norm of that population. So maybe I made it to here. And then it was like, okay, well, we're not that, because we're not strong. We're not anything. Like, oh man, you talk about little baby quads. Do you remember what your quad looked like after your surgery?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just mush.
I remember walking around in like bougie little UGG house shoes, because you need soft, cozy things on your feet
Of
after
course.
kids. Yeah, and I have these sweatshorts on, and I was like, these look like arms, not legs. Like, I just remember thinking to myself, I was like, whoa. And just walking around, I got in trouble because you're not supposed to do things without your nurse practitioners knowing it when you're in the hospital. They said I was doing well enough one time when I came back for a chemo, and I was like,
they don't know they're dealing with crazy people. No, they can't be held responsible. They don't know they're dealing with crazy people. Oh God.
So I went to a U.S. women's national team game in Birmingham while it was like, I did chemo that morning. I'm supposed to stay in the hospital because I don't have an immune system. And we go to the game, and my best friend, my stepmom, and my partner at the time, we drive to the game, go to the game. I'm there for 20 minutes. I'm like, guys, I don't feel great. And
we should go. God damn,
we should go back to the hospital. So anyways,
drink one of those airborns on the way there to really top things off. Jesus Christ, dude.
The other thing I got in trouble for was working out in my hospital room. So they took away my yoga mat because
took it from you because you're too irresponsible.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't be trusted.
They're like, you need to not do that right now. You are busy. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
But it's tough, dude, because as athletes, I know for me, like when I got injured, one of those things that, that came with the depth of it was, holy fuck, the way that I manage my ADHD and the way I manage stress, the way I do all these things, part of that is because I focus on this training thing every day and I get to burn a lot of this bullshit off.
Yeah.
And so getting hurt, like, oh fuck, I don't even have the outlet.
Yeah.
Get
Sit
rid of
in
any
that.
of that. And like,
Yeah.
man, that's got to get the fuck out of me somehow.
So what was your outlet?
I ended up figuring out how to train. Like that was really hard, but I figured out how to train around it. I was really bitter about it for a long time because I couldn't train the way I love training. I couldn't.
I feel you. Yeah.
Man, I want to fucking do violent, heavy movements. That's all I give a fuck about. I don't give a shit about bodybuilding. I don't give a fuck about any of these other things. I want to fucking move as much weight and as fast and violently as possible. It's my favorite thing in the world. I want to
Doesn't it feel so good?
Oh, it's the fucking best. It's just like smashing a big throw. It just all goes into it.
Yeah.
And so my skeleton disagrees. And like the weight that doesn't hurt my skeleton doesn't require focus.
Yep.
And so, okay, how do I change it? And so figuring out a way to adapt to still get what I want out of training has been tricky. The boxing stuff is good. Like I can do still heavy hit stuff. And also now shifting that mindset of like, yeah, we're not trying to fucking throw anymore. Why are we building our machine that way? Like, I know that's what we want, but what we need is to build our machine this way to be able to do some other stuff. And also, we learned all the lessons that came from that path.
Yep.
So what other paths are there to learn lessons from? What does the endurance training teach me? What does learning more about my own nutrition and body teach me? What does how much mobility can I add back to my knee if I'm not trying to hurt it anymore by strengthening it and I let go of, well, if I can't squat this, then like, fuck, I'm not even really strong anymore. You know, no one gives a shit.
You know, it's interesting the stories we tell ourselves, right?
Fuck yeah, dude.
And so, even in the hospital too, they're like, during that time when I got in trouble for working out, the reason I was getting in trouble is because I wasn't eating. My version of eating was like Lifesavers, hard candy. That was literally my lifesaver. So I'd have like 3 of those a day.
Perfect. You know? Yeah, that's what they say.
Yep. So
especially for healing. Yeah, fucking
Red 40.
Dude, just God damn it.
So they were weighing me every day, and I didn't realize they were weighing me because I'd lost so much weight that I was like close to them having to consider putting in some type of feeding. And so after that
cheeseburger, Megan.
They would bring me anything. They would be like, "What do you want?" And my friends and family, and that's the other privileged side.
Like your appetite's gone, right? Like you just don't want.
I don't want anything.
So, as a thrower, what the fuck is that like? The fuck do you mean you didn't want food? I need this better explained to me. This has never been a thing I've run into. Like the closest thing I've ever had is like post knee surgery and eating opiates, and there's no calories in those, so I'd lose weight pretty rapidly. But also, I'm barely fucking awake.
So
I don't understand what you mean by not hungry.
Yeah, and I wish that had been like a long-lasting side effect that had stayed with me. That was the first one to go away.
You just need placebo chemo treatment.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. You didn't even realize you weren't hungry because you're just either you were so like out of it, even though you were there. And I remember so much. People will tell me stories, and I'm like, that happened to me. And
so you like just kind of floaty in between. Does chemo cause this issue in you, or what else are they hitting you with?
So I had over 76 transfusions. That's a lot.
It's a lot of other people's blood in you.
Yeah, that's a lot of radioactive blood because they also have to, I can't remember the process, but they have to put it through some type of process to make sure there's nothing else. Because if I get a disease or something like that, and oh, by the way, I'm a universal donor, my blood type, but I'm a single recipient. So go donate blood because people need that shit. And so when I would get it, it was called irradiated blood. So I'm like basically Hulk blood is what I feel like I have now. So I have like probably, 70 other people's blood floating around in my body.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Think about just get all their kick-ass parts.
That's how I envisioned it. Yeah. And then I was also blessed in that I never had a negative reaction to it. Like shit can go really down really quick. I did catch, I'll tell you some of the things I caught. I did catch Klebsiella pneumonia, which is like hospital pneumonia. That was rad. So, like cold plunges, my first experience with a cold plunge,
Yeah.
outside of like, oh, we just did 4 days of squatting in a row in college, so you get in the cold tub, was I had like 103-degree fever. And so they bring this like chili pad and put it on that runs cold water through it all
Yeah.
night.
Okay.
And they took everything but the sheet away. And I'm like, I feel so cold, but my body's literally cooking from the inside.
Holy
So,
shit.
yeah, apparently that was like pretty bad. But I
What
don't,
caused that reaction? That's just a weird side effect one day of chemo?
no, that's from getting the pneumonia. The
How
only
did you
side
get
effect I
pneumonia?
felt. Correct. Like, I don't have an immune system.
Okay, so
So,
just being in the hospital.
yeah, because I'd done chemo at this point, so they
We
zero
didn't go
blood
to a
cells.
basketball game or something again here.
I didn't go to a basketball game. Yeah, this was the
Trick
first
or
time
treating.
in the halls. What
I
drugs
went
you
on an
got down
outward
there?
bound retreat. It was, mellow.
Yeah, so they're giving me injections into my stomach to try and help restart building the white blood cells, but that still takes time. So I think I went 10 days. Oh, I just remembered. I made a bet with a doctor of how long I would go without white blood cells. They're like, everyone gets a fever at day 4. And I was like, not me. I was like, I'm not going to get one. 10 days in, I got a fever. So, like,
10 days, dude.
but I want a steak dinner that I didn't eat.
Perfect. You showed him.
Showed him. So, anyways, the other thing I got later down the road when I was like going in outpatient was E. coli.
Okay.
No, I must have eaten something, whatever. And so I'm walking in because when I wasn't in the hospital inpatient, I'd still go to the hospital, the local one, every day to get my top offs. Oh, I need platelets today. I need red blood cells today. And part of the reason, like you said, kind of not with it fully is every time I was getting a transfusion, you're given acetaminophen and you're given Benadryl.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So,
So you're snoozing a bit.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyways, I walk in and I'm like, I get dropped off and I'm rubbing my shoulder down the hall, walking down the hall because I'm like, fuck this. I am fine. Nothing is wrong because
Things are great.
Things are great.
This is how I always walk.
Exactly. I'm like, this is not fucking leukemia. Like that is what I would say is like, I didn't want that to be a reoccurrence. And so there was probably some panic in that moment. And then they said, you have E. coli. I'm like, all right, we're good. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like all the mind games to be able to stay in a place where you're like, we're doing this thing till the end. And the end for me wasn't at the end of treatment. That was just the next phase. Because every time I'd go back and I was getting checked every month, then every 6 months, then every year. And actually the further it got out from like that initial treatment phase, the harder it was to be that person going back through those hospital doors.
I fucking bet, dude.
Because you live life now and you're like, I don't have to be that person. But as soon as I step back through those doors and get my blood drawn and sit and wait for someone to tell me that my body's doing what I needed to, that's a little bit of a challenge point. And so I think a lot of the anxiety that you see arise in cancer patients and things like this is because they can't trust their body. They're like, I thought I had
dude.
I thought I had this relationship and we're doing the same thing, but you're just telling me you went AWOL and now we're working on trusting each other again.
And what a weird thing too, right? Because that firing up of anxiety and trust when you go in for that appointment, because there's this fucking chance that, it's been a year and like now it's been 8 years and now it's been 9 years. Like if it's coming back, like the future, no matter how far down the road, is still coming.
Yeah.
And so sorry. And man, that your body's not betraying you. Your body is on point because everything keeps coming back negative.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the visit and this fear, right? I had Tony Blauer on the podcast last week and, his with fear and knowing all that. And what he talks about is false expectations appearing real. And like, so you're putting yourself again back into that trauma fear cycle, waiting for them to do it. And I wish I had a fucking smart answer to keep you out of it, but I think awareness of it, that it's the visit and it isn't the body.
And I think that's helpful. And also too, it's like I have tattoos, but fuck needles. Like I'll get another I'll get another tattoo, but fuck taking my blood from me anymore. And so
I don't think anyone's into it.
I, redheads, I'm
Redheads are into
engaged.
getting needles.
They have a higher pain sensitivity. Like it's weird. They require more anesthesia and all these things. Like
Really?
my partner is a ginger and a genetics expert. So like yes, it's a gene. MC1R I think is the recessive red hair gene. You're welcome
Okay.
for, and yeah. So like literally, she'll always donate blood because it doesn't bother her.
They have a higher pain threshold.
Correct.
Is that from being kissed by the devil? From what I
Correct.
understand. So I
1000%.
fucking knew it, dude.
And
Finally,
they're
we have proof of that.
Yeah, the red hair is the kiss from the devil. The freckles are the kisses from the angel, and they're the evil in between.
Well, God, now at least now we sorted out proof of Christianity. That thing is wrapped up here in the podcast. We don't ever have to cross those walls again.
Religion stays in that.
Yeah, done. Sorted out.
So going back to that appointment though, was I remember my last bone marrow biopsy was in that situation where I asked him about the rate of his death rate. And I was like, oh man, that checks a box, last bone marrow biopsy. So I still had a mindset of, okay, it's 2 more, it's 3 more. So it was still accomplishing, even though you're exactly right. And then stepping into that trauma, stepping into that environment, like most people, when they have a trauma or a thing, they don't have to go back into it. So it's like confronting the beast head on, and not in an enjoyable way, not in a way that it's like, oh, this is going to make me better. It's like, no, this is just.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of that, right? That maybe doesn't get recognized with, relationships that end and you still work together, or any of these other type of things. Like you still have to walk back into a situation that you may not be in control of. People may feel that way about their jobs, feel that way about their own home.
Absolutely. The fair point, Phil. And so for me, the positive light from this came 5 years in. So October 20th, 2020 was my 5-year mark. So with my type of leukemia, after 5 years, the rate of reoccurrence is the same as any person getting leukemia initially. So I get to say I'm cured.
Okay.
So after 2020, so that was a big one. And I can say it's a big one because I don't think about it every day.
Yeah.
I think about it every other day, or once a week, or twice in 3 days, and then not again for a month. And so
but sometimes if it only pops up, it's like, holy shit, when was the last time I thought about?
Correct. And now
I'll do that too. Because I think I remember thinking that about fucking girlfriends or divorce or any of the big fucking heavy things of
exactly
like, oh man, I didn't think about that today.
Exactly. And it's like those drought rings in that tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the flip side of where we are now. It's like, oh, it's 2022. And going back to your identity piece, I'm no longer the person in the middle of it. I'm now on this side of it, to where I get to say I'm a survivor. And it was hard to shift from a fighter mindset to a survivor mindset, because everyone's like, congratulations. I'm like, I don't feel like I deserve that.
Well, I think nothing changed.
Yeah. And nothing changed for me. And
certification, more or less, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's just more letters behind my name. That's what Kelly says. And I think the other side too is I still think about all those people and the number of people and coaches that have reached out to me that they're going through their own battle or they're going through their own thing. And it's like, I think I'm going to stay in that fighter mindset for a really long time, because it allows me to help and still step into a space now to give other people that same energy and be like, it's your fight right now, or it's your mom's fight. I'm talking to someone later today. It's their dad's fight.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people just want to talk to someone that cancer is a hard thing to talk about because people don't know it or whatever. It's unfamiliar. So if you can't address it and say, here's what we know, how do you move forward with it? So it's helpful for a lot of people about to go through treatment to be able to reach out to someone So I don't know this person. We've never met. We're FaceTiming in an hour so that I can listen. That's it.
Dude, again, like I mean, we've talked about it with the 1612 or anything else, but like I remember like having this moment click for me, thinking about my dad and thinking about my dad going through his battle with cancer, and I have to think some existential bullshit pops up that you don't have answers for.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he had any resources of someone to call and talk to that would just not be the doctor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just not be the doctor on it. Just be
Or
someone
not be
that
the person worried.
Right. Right. Not the person who's also trying to keep you in a positive mindset. Like someone that is just, a fucking anchor. Like is just there to hold space and take on whatever you need to get rid of.
It's like I've seen my dark passenger, so I can see yours, and we can talk about him.
Yeah, man. I think that's real. Like, talking about that fucking fear of like, it's coming. Like, I just got a big fucking, you got a big fucking punch in the face that said, like, don't ever get too comfortable because they're gonna all fucking disappear. Right. And like, you get the advantage of the wake up call on the other side.
At
Some
30.
people's, yeah. And, for me, the wake up call was seeing it happen to someone I loved.
Exactly. And it's way harder on you than it is on us. Let me say that to you. It is way harder as someone that has been through it. It is harder to watch the toll it takes on your support system than any of the shit we deal with.
Yeah, because they still have theirs.
Yeah.
They still have their shit. And not only that, like when you're in support mode for someone in that, it has a tendency to fucking really hide your truth too.
Yep. You're not you.
Well, right. And we get, comparison and all that. It works the same way when you compare that I don't have the house that dipshit has or whatever it is, and you feel bad about the progress you've made. But there's also comparison of like, I don't have anything I'm ever allowed to complain about because their thing is this.
Exactly.
And it doesn't make your shit not real. Like,
right.
Pain and trauma and suffering aren't competition that we're trying to win that doesn't evaluate yours.
And the more people I've met that have been through the pain and the trauma or still struggling with it and carrying it with them, it's never been a conversation of comparison. It's been like, thank God I needed someone to talk to right now. Like, thank you for allowing me to create space just to be heard and know that after this conversation, we never have to talk about it again, or we can talk about it every day.
Right.
And then on the other side to your identity thing too, Matt, it's then what? Like I remember the first person saying to me, it was like 2 years after, they're like, aren't you already tired of people talking to you about it? It was like, this isn't some trophy I won.
Oh man.
Like this isn't something I trained for. This is something I did, and now it's a part of who I am, and it's not going anywhere. It's not something you leave behind. It's not something where I hope one day someone stops asking me what it was like and, can I talk to their significant other going through the same thing? And that's a calling now. And let me tell you, anytime I have felt called, I'll show the fuck up.
Well, I mean, how many people just want that, right? That want to like, well, I just want to move on from the bad thing that happened and never fucking want to look at it. When you do that, like it doesn't get processed. It doesn't get processed in any way for any of the good or getting rid of the fucking shit.
Yeah, fair.
But there's tons of good to mine out of it.
And that's the thing is like, I think there's enough good in it for the rest of my life.
Of course there is. Of fucking course there is. Because that's also something you're choosing because you're shaping and controlling that perspective.
1000%.
You didn't switch at any point of this telling me, and fuck man, I know that you weren't all smiles during this and positive and any of that because it doesn't work that way. I'm fucking not that way all the time. And I've never had to go through anything like that. But it shows a lot to that character, that attitude that you're willing to fight anyway. That you were always willing to show up for you.
And I don't know if that was the case before then. I don't know that I was always the person that would just, I'm doing this because it's what's for me. It's a non-negotiable. but I can tell you that's who I am now.
So how has that, now that you're on the backside of it and kind of that tool, I mean, you have the ability to attack something at that
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah.
Like, how do you use that now to point at new goals?
I think one, and this is so like opposite of coach mindset, like fuck goals.
Okay.
And because a lot of it is I just keep working and the things come. Like here I am, and my first job as a strength coach was SEC basketball and soccer. I thought that's where I'd be in 10 years.
Of course, of
Not
course.
job one. Then I go through this thing, and then I am afforded the opportunity to understand, okay, I can't show up with my body every day. I'm going to use my brain more. That's why I got a second master's in information systems and data science. Like I saw where sport was going, but also I was like, she ain't driving the way she used to, so we might as well use this thing up top. So
Oh man, I wish that wasn't so familiar.
you're
Oh
welcome.
man, I'm so familiar with that feeling of like, we better fix whatever's fucking going on in here. This thing's not going to be trustworthy very long.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean we're not pissed about it, but I recognize it and I've decided to do something else.
Right. I know it ain't changing.
Yeah. And then on the other side of that is like, so I dove into that and I had so much respect from our medical group at the university I was at that they let me start doing collaboration with other departments on campus and like creating research for athletes. But I think at the end of the day, I'm not a doctor, but I had so much respect from them because they knew that I had gone through this laborious process involving so much medical science and technology. Um, and now it's like, okay, so what's next? And I just kept going. And I think honestly, it wasn't like a push. It was, I genuinely got to be myself every day. I stopped carrying the two people. There was the Megan at work and the Megan at life. And because I am a female strength coach, I'm also a lesbian, I'm all these things, living in the deep South, working in a good old boy system. Like, how do you navigate all that? So I'd always played it.
I fucking can't imagine.
So I'd always played it down the middle, down the neutral line.
Yep.
And afterwards, it wasn't like I had to be like angry or there was never a negative emotion. It was just like, I'm me now. Like I had a bald head and now I keep short hair and no one can say shit about it because I had a bald head.
Right.
You know, it's like, don't be that asshole.
Yeah.
And then just like people were so happy that I was there that they got to know the real me then. And so that was like a very good come around moment. Like people I'd worked with for 5, 6 years at this point, I think got to know the real me after this because there was no defense or none of that like power politics dynamics, none of that.
What a waste of energy.
Yeah, they're like, I'm just happy to see you. So amazing. And then that led me to just opportunities. And I did a camp for US Soccer and they asked me the next year to consider going to Chicago and boom, now I'm a high performance director because I felt called to help them and developed amazing relationships. And here I am now with, oh, by the way, the real person I'm supposed to be with, my partner, who the way we all connected was through this thing because she actually went to Auburn. She was training for a marathon and heard about my whole thing and loves soccer. And she went for her longest training run while I was in the hospital and wrote a blog post about it for her brother's blog or something. And was just like, I can't imagine not knowing that you can't trust your body and what it can do. And here I am trying to run 20 miles. And she ran like 20 miles and just kept thinking about me as like an inspiration from afar. How do you not connect with that person?
No kidding.
We connected next year. We've been together 6 years.
Congrats, dude.
Yeah.
Congrats.
You know?
So,
yeah.
Where are you from originally?
North Carolina, Durham.
So, I mean, looking back at like my experience coming through the NCAA system and all that, and I think back now at what a difference in things are with even gay and just all the differences in genders and sex and all that. A ton has changed since my
for sure.
that's fucking 20 years ago I was in college or whatever it is at this point. Going through all that for you, how have you seen the change in it, or is there? I mean, now that you are more open in you, because we both know at a time where this wouldn't have been.
Yeah, and it's still not in certain places. It's still probably not safe for it to be.
It's a fucking bummer.
Yeah. I think with every story is unique, and how everybody processes is different. And I didn't just wake up and say like I know I'm gay. Like I didn't even start dating women until I was 26.
Sure.
Very, very late. I think I was too busy being the athlete, too busy being the new coach. Like that was the person I was investing in. And now I invest so much in this other side of me that that's what helps this side grow, and you just didn't know it. How much have you learned from investing to this side of you?
Yeah.
And it's made all this grow. Right. Yeah. I wish we would have known that in our 20s, but we probably would have just lifted heavy weights, so it didn't matter.
Well, the way I look at it, right, is what we learned in those years was a systematic approach of how to get fucking better at anything.
Fair.
And so I can apply that to the getting better at me. And if I want to get better
100%.
at me, I have to be pushed to really uncomfortable places on a pretty regular basis so that I adapt and be able to take on harder, more uncomfortable things.
Yeah, that's the whole thing of like seek the struggle. And that's what I said a lot afterwards is like, now that I don't have this cancer thing that's my struggle, I stress if I don't have something to struggle over. I have to seek that struggle to find my calm. So when I feel the best is right now after I box. And
Boxing's
it's because
a fun one, man.
Yeah, and it's safe for our knees. Like,
I've been enjoying it. And one of those reasons I enjoy it is because I'm too fucking banged up to throw.
Yeah.
It would be embarrassing to try to go throw. I still love the idea of it. My brain likes playing with it in my head. I like thinking about creating I still love it.
Yeah, I feel you.
Can't do it. I don't think it's smart for me to do it. And I don't know that it would be fun in reality.
Yeah, and
being bad at throwing super sucks.
Yeah, I think if you go out to something you used to be very good at and then try it and it's not great, that's probably going to take you about another 5 years of process to get through.
Yeah, and just for anyone listening, like I want to be clear, I don't care that I'm not throwing as far. I couldn't give any less of a fuck. There's a feeling when you hit a throw. And I'm not sure that I'm capable of getting into position to do that.
Yeah.
And not hitting throws sucks.
I had a reminder of what that feeling was like yesterday. I learned like I am a novice in boxing and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I suck. And but yesterday I learned shifts. So instead of just like every punch, every throw, whatever, I learned how to throw a punch and shift out of it. And I was like, oh shit. He was wait, have you done this before?
Force through my feet through the ground. Like, fuck yeah. Dude, there's a big switch of power that just clicked on. That's the same thing like with boxing. I can go hit the heavy bag and I can still fucking give it the gas.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt the way throwing would.
But that recoil you feel in the middle of a discus throw or a rotational shot, like that recoil response, that's what I felt in the shift. And I felt my foot go right underneath my hip. And I was like, oh, I haven't touched that in 5 years.
Memory. Yeah. Let me break you in another piece of boxing that you're going to struggle with.
Yeah. Okay.
Keeping your weight on your back foot.
1,000%. He's like,
dude, I'm just so leaned over that front foot at the front of the trig, chin's way out. Like, he's like, you can't do any shit back there. Your power's already all gone. There's no weight in the back.
I was like, but it felt good.
One punch. It's lean it as far out as I can.
Every shot's not a kill shot. Yeah.
Also trying not to lift.
Oh, try not to. I think I burned 750 calories in 50 minutes yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'm just blocking.
So
burned into the DNA, dude.
Exactly. And the other side of it too, though, is you need to read that book. It's called Burn, on the longevity perspective. And it just talks about like lifting versus cardio. Like the life expectation of those that are aerobically fit live 8 years longer.
Okay.
And it's interesting that I find most of us about 40 are like, oh yeah, I've done a lot of that strength training shit, and either it's been taken from us by we're not supposed to,
Yeah.
or we've already come to a point of chasing something else. It's like, probably never gonna lift. I'm never gonna squat 380 again.
Yeah. Look, I'll never hit another lifting PR.
And I'm
I can
okay
make
with
up
that.
some bullshit PRs if I
For
want to say
sure.
this is the most I've lifted 40. Like,
Yeah.
if that turns you on, fucking let it rip. It doesn't turn me on.
No, me either. But to say that I can do like 5 hours of continuous output.
Yeah, that's so new. We're good at like 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to figure out how to burn this match for a long distance. It's never been good for me.
No, exactly. It's like, okay, I blew out the match again. Fuck. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm like, oh, we're gonna go for a long ride. 3 minutes in, my legs are fucking totally trashed.
exactly. I'm like, this
I'm an
sounded like a
idiot.
great idea until I did it.
Oh god, because I'm an idiot.
Yeah. And so
If I ride outside, that ends up being the problem. Like I just can't not go until everything's on fire.
yeah.
Then I can't fucking do anything after 45 minutes. Like a moron.
I never understood what it was like when they say they are so tired they couldn't eat after an event.
Again, that's another, huh?
And last year we did like 65 miles and it was 100-degree heat in Chicago on our road bikes. And afterwards I was like, I get it. Like I'm still very hungry, but I'm also equally tired.
But I'll wait.
No, but I'll sit here.
After the Bryce Canyon run,
There you go.
I didn't get to the trailer and was like, give me food.
Yeah, you're like, I need to sit.
Tell you what, doing an endurance event like that Bryce Canyon run I did is such a really rad experience.
Yeah.
I've never done a big put on marathon type thing.
Yeah.
But like going to that, and we camped out the night before and had the RV. So we were there kind of at the start of it, and like all these other cars poured in. It was this big to do. But from the experience side, like there's some of it we were basically just in a line up this really gnarly incline. But that also then spread out the group past that.
Yeah.
Because once people got to the top of that, some people are fucking just going.
Yeah.
But having like aid stations along the way and support makes the ability to go so much further.
Yep. Just someone saying good job.
Or yeah, and just to be like, I don't have to carry all this bullshit with me because I have places to get more bullshit.
Yep, exactly.
I'm sure there's some deeper stuff there.
I'm gonna leave that for our next conversation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, thank you so much. We'll have to do more of this, and I know that we're going to come up. I'm going to work on getting up there to come see you. I got those dates written down.
Yeah.
And dude, it's been really fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me and let me use your platform to share a story that I know some people need to hear.
And more on that, like as we were kind of talking about just that, finding stuff. Now that you're in, from North Carolina to Auburn to now Chicago, there has to be just an exposure level there of being in a more liberal city to be more and find more people to Seattle. Yeah. Jesus Christ, right? Like, I think maybe North Carolina, Seattle could be too much. Transition swing.
It's interesting, and there's a stop in Texas too. There's good people everywhere.
Of course.
And but also like Pride was this past weekend. And I would say that was like my first real Pride.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting to see the amount of joy people had for being themselves. Like that to me, I think was the cool thing was I had never seen that many people that just needed to have fun being themselves in a safe place. I've seen that with like 5 throwers getting to lift heavy in a garage on a Saturday.
Right.
But not with tens of thousands of people that are just like, finally, like this is a weekend for me to identify and just be. And
not have to explain it to someone.
Yeah, what a cool experience. And what a cool experience for, Washington has both sides just like everywhere. And what a cool experience for people that don't live in Seattle to come to. Like people travel in, So I think there is something to be said for that, but more importantly for me, it's like if I'm being judged for being gay, I'm also being judged for being a female strength coach. I'm also being judged for working in men's sports. So it's like
Sure.
just add it to the list. So it doesn't really, I wouldn't say it doesn't bother me, but I'm just aware.
Right.
It's like
well, that voice is always going to be there. Like, man, if you're spending your time trying to fucking silence that thing,
yeah, or other people, and that's my point. Is like if there's roadblocks for that, they were already there anyways, and I think that's why it's so important, like now in my role in being in the men's side and thinking of other women doing this and other people that are just different, doing things at different levels, because it isn't about me. It's for the person that's going through cancer and doesn't know that they could do something after, but it's also for the gay coach that doesn't know it's okay to be gay and be in your work environment.
Yeah.
And it's also for the female that wants to work in men's sports but doesn't think there's a path. So that's what I mean. For those who can't, or those who don't know they can, like, there's no motivation needed. I'll just keep going.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
I love it. I know we're getting a soccer team.
Yes, you are. Next year. Yeah. You already have a stadium.
On that. I'm collecting jerseys.
Yeah, perfect.
I have weird soccer jerseys. I've never been to a game, but the jerseys are a lot of fun.
And they're comfortable. How fun is that to hang out in?
They're great. They're great, dude. Coaching for the Sounders. You guys kicked ass this year.
Yeah, we're doing really well. We won CONCACAF Champions League. And let me just say, this organization, top to bottom, is special. It's special from a player side. It's special from a support staff side. It's special from a GM and technical coaches side. And because I've worked in different sports, I can say that. And I've worked at different levels. And so to have a culture, one of like in Chicago, me doing my role is 4 roles here. So shout out to the people I get to work with.
Yeah, right on.
How much better are we that we have 4 of us? On the flip side of that, how much better are we that we have players that make enough money to not be stressed about money all the time? Unlike in the women's side where they're still fighting for everything.
Yeah.
So they get to come in and do football. And then also we're pretty fucking good.
Sure.
And so to win something that's never been won by an American team. And then we just found out we're going to be a host city for the 2026 World Cup.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's
and we move
cool.
into a new facility in 2024. There's just so much positive momentum.
Go to World Cup games.
Yeah. Or
that's
we
a
get to play in a
cool. Right. Even crazier. Be on the sideline at fucking World Cup games.
Yeah. We get to play in Club World Cup next year since we won Champions League. So you're telling me we're going to play Real Madrid? Let's go.
So like would you guys play against like Austin's team?
Yeah. We played Austin already this year.
So like the Galaxy, I just don't know a ton about soccer. I punched out from like organized sports essentially when I got into Highland Games. So I don't know. I know some about football, basketball, and hockey.
We'll do a whole podcast around offsides and help you figure that out. But yeah, no, basically there's an Eastern and Western conference. You don't play everyone on the opposite conference, but you play a couple crossover games. 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, no points for a loss.
Okay.
So that's how you get your top 7 from each side go to playoffs. The team with the most points at the end of the year wins the like supporter shield for the regular season, but then you win the MLS Cup if you win the playoff event. Does that make sense? So now you know MLS. There you go.
Perfect. Excellent. Now I understand another thing.
So now you can come to a game and be like, this is a thing we're doing.
I definitely want to come. I would fucking love to attend a game. Yeah, especially, would you guys ever play St. Louis?
Probably. I don't know which side of the conference they'll be in. If they're Western team, definitely. Eastern team, occasionally.
Dead in the middle. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. Split 50-50.
So crazy.
Yeah, but that'll be cool for you to see. And soccer fans are called supporters, not fans. So if you become a St. Louis supporter.
Nice. Good to know.
Yeah, we'll take
I wouldn't even say I'm one or the other.
All right. I'm going to roll and get out of here.
Dude, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much, Megan. I'll put links to where everyone can reach you. Thank you for being part of everything. And just awesome, dude. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Have a great one.